What is up, Frog fans? You are watching and or listening to the Deep Dish, but not the Thursday Deep Dish, the Wednesday Deep Dish. What a weird week of scheduling. We'll get into more of that as it relates to baseball. I'm your host, JD Sailors, joined always by my co-host, Martin Guerrero, and the producer, Ray Cartwright. Boys, is this week throwing you guys off as much as it is me?
It just feels very busy. Like we live streamed the TCU game on Monday. TCU baseball played last night. We're doing this podcast. Got 2 games tomorrow. Very compressed. We talk about having enough pitching for the week to get through the week, the short week. What about us?
Dude,
who's thinking about us?
Seriously, because I'm over here like putting in the data for these graphs. Like we just had a game last night and I have like no time to actually digest any of it and kind of make points for the pod. So I have data, but we'll see as the show goes what exactly comes out of it. So we did intros. Travis said, and Travis, we forgot Travis. Thanks, Travis, for joining in the chat. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube.
Cam's idea. Just play all 3 games tomorrow.
Dude, at this point, why not?
Your whole weekend ahead.
You know what? You know what? We'll figure it out. We're here. Martin, what do you got, man? My brain's already shot, dude. I've been on these graphs for like the last 2.5 hours. So
I stay ready, boys.
Ooh, all right. That's the fire.
So yeah, 2 games tomorrow. So great opportunity to load up with your Chinook seeds that you got on ChinookSeed.com using promo code LDC and your long drink. Smuggle a few in for the double hit. We won't tell anybody. And of course, brought to you by Enduno Travel Bags. Go to enduno.us. Check out these bags. Use promo code LDC2025 to get 10% off your order, and also help out Saving Hope Pet Rescue. Portion of the proceeds go to that great organization. All right, Martin, let's start with you. And we didn't really have a pre-show meeting by any means, so where do you want to start?
I can start with the UTSA recap, and then I got a funny story about the UTSA game. So TCU wins. What was it? 5-4. Walk-off sack fly in the 9th. San Antonio's own Cohen Feaster looked pretty good against the Roadrunners. He pitched the final 3 innings of the game, earned the win. He retired 9 of the 10 batters he faced, striking out 3. Carson Bowen really seems to like hitting in that leadoff spot. I think he's getting on base at like a 500 clip in the 2 games, as well as hitting that leadoff double in the 9th that led to the winning run for the Horned Frogs. He was also stellar behind the plate for TCU, throwing out 3 Roadrunners on the bases, including 2 huge outs in the 5th to neutralize UTSA's offense when they rallied to take the lead. It was good to see Isaac Cadena find some success at the plate. He went 2 for 5 with a double and a home run. The home run was huge, tying the game after the Roadrunners took the lead. Hopefully that leads to another hot streak like what we saw in San Diego after that huge home run he hit in the first game. Chase Brunson continues to produce. He went 1 for 3 with a walk. He's now hitting .355 on the year. He's got a .422 on base and a .545 slugging. He also scored a vital run on a wild pitch that allowed TCU to score 2 more runs later that inning after avoiding what could have been an inning-ending double play. And do you guys have anything for that game?
For that game specifically, not specifically, but what I will do is I'll show you the entire 4 games since we last did this podcast. Sharing my screen now. All right, so here's the offense, how they produce. So we had heroic weeks from Sawyer Strohsnyder, of course, and Noah Franco. Very good weeks from Carson Bowen, Anthony Silva, Cole Kramer, and Chase Brunson, as you mentioned. I want to get back to Chase Brunson more in a second. But we had flashes from Jack Bell and Sam Myers. And then kind of tough weeks from Preston Gamster in limited action, Nolan Traeger, Isaac Cadena, although a nice rebound yesterday, like you said, Martin, and Jack Arthur in limited action. So that's the recap of the offense. I wanted to talk about Chase Brunson because, I spend a lot of time looking at this win probability graph, and Brunson rarely flashes. But then when I look at his numbers overall, I mean, he's putting up like all Big 12 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about this, and it's like, does Chase just never get to hit in big situations? Because he's obviously producing numbers-wise, but it's not like you see Sawyer Stroh-Snyder. I'm not saying Chase Brunson's producing like Sawyer Stroh-Snyder, but Stroh is doing it in huge moments, right? That's really flipping the game. But what's up with what do you think it is that with Chase that it just seems like it's not translating to win probability added?
How many outs have they ran into before Chase?
Good
Yeah,
question.
that's a good point. I think this is what 2 times this week that Kramer was thrown out at third right before Chase was up to bat, and I think that ended the inning. Maybe both times. You
Yeah.
also that in itself is a lack of opportunities right there. And I don't know exactly what he's hitting with runners in scoring position, but it's not like 500 like Stroh-Snyder is.
Right. Let's see. Let me flip over to pitching. And yeah, a lot of green, man. The pitching has been just outstanding. Cohen Feaser, heroic performance last night in the late innings. Mason Brassfield, Trevor Baumler in limited action. He looked really good last night. What's weird is Braden Sloan being in the red. Hardly ever. That's never happened this year.
Just because of the one double he gave up on Friday?
Yep.
And the winning run, that'll do it.
Now, if I flip over to the season as a whole, he's still murdering it.
Yeah.
2% added per hitter, but just for these last 4 games. Noah Franco struggled again, and Zach James had a wild ride last night. So, how about Lucas Shin?
Clutch.
Dude, how about Luca?
He created his own clutch moment and then came through.
Hey, that's the way to get on the chart.
Yeah, it's the way to get on the
If they don't bring you into a clutch moment, you make it a clutch moment.
Right. Yeah.
You make the saying, you make your own luck, you make your own clutch.
But yeah, just real quick, I want to just look at the season total for win probability added for the pitching, and just, man, I could just like, don't even need to really talk about this graph. It's so pretty. You know what I mean?
That is a lot of green.
That is a ton of green. Yeah, I mean, the pitching's been killing it. We go to contribution by game, and the gold bars represent the pitching. And you just glancing at it, a lot of pitching in the positive direction. Very few games where, pitching has struggled this year. And we have a really big sample size now. We have conference games, non-conference games, plenty of top opponents, not so top opponents.
Yeah,
we're halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Do you know what I've noticed so early in the season, whenever we talked about the numbers, that the offense, if the pitching is not on, it's pretty much an auto L. But I it feels like without, looking at the data like you have, that when the pitching hasn't been on, the offense has stepped up and helped, carry that load.
All right. Well, let's break that down. So we can easily isolate the games where pitching has not been great. Kansas State.
Fresno State.
Game 3 against Southern Miss. Fresno is an example, Ray, where the offense stepped up to help the pitching out. Saturday and Sunday against Arizona State. No help from the offense. Let's see. Saturday against Tech. Yeah, that was the game. I was thinking we lost the Friday game for a second for some reason. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Ray, I'm going to say the data disproves your hypothesis.
Maybe it's just because, it's been a couple of rough Noah Franco starts that we've been able to come back, or we haven't just buried ourselves.
Well, I'll tell you what happens in those Noah Franco starts is the rest of the pitching steps up.
And then Noah usually hits a home run too whenever he has a bad start.
Yeah. Not a lot of clunkers from the offense really the last couple weeks. Rough series against Arizona State, but since then, 2 games where they've really struggled. Game 1 against Houston, going up against great pitching, and Saturday against Texas Tech, which I have no explanation for. Just a clunker of a game, really.
We've seen a lot less lefties recently, right?
Yeah, I haven't quantified it, but it just seems like watching, I'll notice, okay, it's a righty. Okay, it's a righty.
Yeah, it seemed like, Globe Life with Arkansas, Kansas State, Southern Miss, and Arizona State. That's really all I remember as far as like, oh shit, here comes another lefty, but I haven't really felt that way in a while.
Yep. Okay, let's look at Ray's favorite graph, the base running. How'd we do against UTSA? Well, horrific. Minus 21%. All right, so let me put this in perspective. Isaac Cadina's game-tying home run, which we all agree was maybe the biggest moment of the game offensively last night. At least top 3. You got the Bowen double, the sac fly by Kramer.
Yeah, I was going to say the Kramer sac fly.
Okay, but
the wild pitch that led to Jack Arthur getting a third.
Yeah. So we can take any of those events, right? They were around 12%. The base running almost doubled it in the negative direction.
Bad.
Very bad. I listened to the Kirk press conference last night, and that was like the first thing he brought up without even being asked about it. So I don't know what that means, but at least somebody's noticing it,
So I didn't watch. What did he say?
Essentially, there's being aggressive and then there's being reckless, and we have to stop being reckless.
Okay, they're not. Surely they're not being coached to be reckless. That would be reckless.
I find it hard to believe that we have a team full of individuals who are going on their own or making, as Connor Wanhunter would say, poor decisions on the bases.
They'd want that one back.
I find it very hard to believe that we have a team full of individuals doing that. That's all I have to say.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about Cole Kramer getting thrown out at third by about, 33 feet.
Which time?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. So you go through all the fall workouts, all of, spring ball before the season starts, and you're doing rep after rep after rep, and it's getting beaten into your head. Always look for the extra base. Or mess with the pitcher, get a lead, or we're stealing here, boys. So when Cole Kramer's rounding second, he's relying on his training from the fall and the spring of got to look for the extra base. So yeah, Ray, I think he is coached to do it. Because it's just it's a team mentality that starts with the coaching. It's not the guys in the dugout saying, you know what we need to do tonight, boys? Run them bases. That's being coached to them.
Green lights all night.
So, yeah, we can say, oh, yeah, well, Kramer screwed it up. He shouldn't have gone there. Well, he's being coached to do it.
I'd be interested in the all 22s to look at third base
Yeah.
and
would.
what Bill's doing whenever, Kramer's rounding second.
Well,
Or to
it doesn't
look and
sound like
see
he's
if
putting up the stop sign.
Kramer's, looking his direction, trying to, pick up anything.
So on a ball to right field, like basic fundamental coaching, it can change from team to team. But a ball to right field, you're not looking, over your shoulder to see what's going on. You're picking up your coach.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is Kramer picking up, Bill as he's, running to second?
So there's a couple of things here. Like that's the most likely thing, right? That he's picking up Bill and Bill's waving him, and then we get thrown out by 20 feet. Or Kramer's just reading the ball off the bat, not even seeing what's going on in right field, but saying no matter what. And I'm saying Kramer, but this applies to anybody in any situation.
Right.
Off the bat, he's just thinking, I'm going. Because we're aggressive. We're TCU baseball. We are aggressive on the bases. And I'm going to make them make a play. Well, what's happening a high percentage of time is the defense is making plays. And it's hurting us.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that is
so
one
David
thing.
brings up a
It's
good
like,
point.
the old adage, make them beat you.
They're beating us.
They're constantly beating us.
So David, I was going to go here next is where's the stop sign? So that's the other thing is if you're picking up your coach, even if you're thinking, because you have the TCU mindset of aggressive base running, even if I'm going, oh shit, Bill's got the stop sign up. I'm going to get back to second now. Where's the stop sign?
Do we need campus police out there enforcing runners running through stop signs?
Yeah. It's something I'm going to pay attention to in person attending games. Is I'm going to just watch Bill Mosiello. What's he doing?
Man, that's so hard in the moment.
But I'm now bracing to get thrown out on the bases. Anytime we have a guy on base and we hit a ball, I'm bracing for it.
I think he's still coaching like it's 10 years ago, where there was a lot less arm talent in the outfield. Like, just, the draft was deeper, minor leagues were deeper, a lot less talent was getting to college. And, it's a very different game than what it was 10 years ago when he was finding a lot of success doing that. But not only the outfield arms, but the catchers as well.
Your point makes a lot of sense, logic, but I also remember those days getting pissed off at Bill. So I actually wonder how successful we really were.
I agree. Obviously he has a track record of doing this, but it feels like this is one of the worst years.
Yeah. And I think that correlates to your point.
I mean, Jacob, you talk about all the years before. Don't we love Garrett Crane?
Special circumstance.
It's the same thing, but it's like that play probably gets made this year.
Yeah. But even then, I would be okay with it because at some point, go force something. I think we try to force things when they don't need to be forced. Like after Kramer gets thrown out at third, the next three guys reach base.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are times though where, we get thrown out and I'm like, okay, that's okay. Like Sam Myers with 2 outs last night. And I don't know what the count was on Carson, but even if it was, 0-1, he gets picked off because he's stealing second on that pitch, right? Gets caught. Picked off. Okay, that's the 3rd out. Now Carson hits with a fresh count to start the next inning. It's not a big deal there because if you do steal second, now you can get a base hit, score a run with 2 outs. Too many times we are making these outs with no outs.
Right. Or 1 out And it just feels, I think one out's even worse than no outs.
Or making out at third for the third out.
Yeah, typical baseball wisdom says never make the first or third out at third or at home.
Because you're already in scoring position.
Exactly. Yeah, so the chat's bringing up the Cadena double. Like, ridiculous decision. Try to steal third there.
Oh, yeah.
Even if he went on his own, I still think like they are coached to have this mentality of take the extra base whenever you can. Be aggressive. And it's not working, man. Like, how many people are listening to this pod saying, well, they say the same thing every week? Because they keep doing it every week.
Hey, I mean, you can point to probably about 4 or 5 situations each week. It feels like that, man, as Connor Wanhanen likes to say, we'd like to have that one back.
I don't know, man. Okay, so Kirk addressed it last night. We'll see what changes.
Yeah. Do you think that'll lead to changes?
Well, I mean, you're asking, does Kirk have any influence on the offensive game plan at all? And I think it's kind of a fair question. He should.
I bet he does. I mean, he is the head coach.
I mean, at this point, right? Like he's saying, hey, we've accumulated negative 100% win probability this season running the bases.
That's some might call that one full game.
No, it's more than that, because that would be saying that you're starting the game at 0% win probability. It's more like 2.5 games.
Even worse.
And if I look at this, I can point to 2 games where it probably cost us. Arkansas and Southern Miss. Houston. Arkansas doesn't look that bad, but I had to filter out the damn doubled off because it breaks the scaling. Let me add that in. Boom.
Yeah. I don't know. That doubled off that's a tough one.
No, it's not. You freeze on a line drive unless your mentality is, well, I got to get to second because the quicker I get to second, I can go to third.
Wasn't it a low line drive?
You freeze on a line drive and then you get back. But we didn't freeze. I don't even remember who it was on base. It doesn't matter because the whole team's guilty of this. And I don't put 100% of the blame on Bill. Like, if this is the game plan and it's not going to change, the players do have to be better. Yeah, but you can easily fix it by changing the damn game plan.
I think it's shared accountability here.
It's not equal.
No. I mean, it never is, right? You know, you look across any sport and it ultimately falls on the decision makers, like the game plan, right?
Yeah.
The coaches, they got to be better. They put them in that position, right?
I'd say it's about an 80-20 split, right?
The players have to be smart in their execution, right?
Let me switch gears for a second because Travis brings up a good point. And yeah, Ray, yeah, it I would say it's like 80-20, right? Coaching to players.
Right.
So Travis, what's up with my mouse? Okay, there we go. I think our defense on the base pass might be okay. So he's saying double plays, and I guess he means caught stealing, maybe shielding how bad the impact is. We're not great at throwing out runners, but we are the best double play team in the country, according to DRS.
We're pretty good. Carson's arm looked pretty good last night.
Oh, last night was amazing, no doubt.
That's the best Carson's looked all year.
Absolutely. And it makes me wonder if it was a health thing for him early on.
I mean, it has to be, right? He's had, Martin, 3 procedures done in the last year and a half?
That's a HIPAA violation if I share that information, but Not only
Hypothetically,
You're not under the Hippocratic oath, bro. You can share whatever you want.
as far as you know. So not only has it been like maybe it was a healthy thing at the beginning, but like he's also hasn't had many opportunities lately to catch games. I mean, he's mostly been like first base DH lately.
Yeah.
yeah, at least for the Houston series.
All right. Sydney's asking if they would consider moving Bill off third base. I don't think that's happening.
There's no way
like-
that will.
There's a
Sydney,
0%.
you can sign up to be the one to tell Bill he's no longer coaching third base.
Oh, please record that interaction.
Yeah,
Be great content.
There's no way, but yeah, we've talked a lot about the base running. I do still believe that Bill has had a positive impact as far as the approach and everything else with the offense.
Agreed. I don't think we talk about that enough, to be fair. I think we
yeah.
hyper focus on because the offense is considerably better.
And he's probably in charge of the defense, especially the infield defense as well, which has been elite also.
Elite.
So
I
think as a whole, I think Bill has been a positive influence on this team. Is just the base running is kind of getting a little ridiculous.
It's getting ridiculous, but I will say, man, our record in terrible base running games is outstanding. We probably lead the country in winning percentage with terrible base running.
We usually do something else like really amazing that game to like make up for it. Like last night, Carson Bowen throwing out 3 runners on the bases.
Or we pitch.
Yeah.
And then the other team doesn't even have the opportunity to make outs on the bases like we do.
Mm-hmm.
But golly, man, what would our offense look like right now if we keep some guys on the base paths?
Probably a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, especially last night. That game didn't stay tied till the 9th. We put them away.
Most likely.
All right. What else do you guys want to talk about? Let's get off of this subject because it's getting on my nerves.
Yeah. I mean, just UTSA in general. I mean, I think they're a pretty good team. You know, they beat Texas. They swept FAU. I think that's a really good win.
Let's talk about this. Let me ask you guys a question. Let's see if we're on the same page here. Do you agree with the pitching strategy from last night?
Yes.
Because essentially what the strategy told me was we're okay losing this game.
No.
Okay,
You've seen this before.
Let me phrase it a different way. We're not selling out to win this game. And I don't mean selling out as in like starting Braden Sloan. I mean,
conference wins will always be way more important. They probably knew there was a good chance they were playing 2 on Thursday anyways, before that game yesterday when they were making their game plan how they were going to use pitchers, right?
Yeah, they were definitely planning on it. But if you thought we have to have this UTSA game, you're not pulling Baumler after the first inning.
I was surprised that they didn't let Baumler go 3 innings if they were going to let him start. Like, why not just start somebody you are willing to go one time through the order?
Well, what that told me was, okay, so Baumler's got to be starting against BYU, but he's not.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, he'll probably pitch a lot, but
what if he's right after Klecker?
That's fine.
Let's dream on it for a second.
Then it makes sense.
Klecker is only going 2 innings, 3 innings most on Thursday, and then you bring Baumler in first out of the pen. I mean, game situation dependent, right? But that's that's the plan.
What would have been so bad with having Baumler go 7,
right,
like he did last week?
I guess you take him out completely out of your weekend,
but you save other guys.
I mean, are you going to pitch those other guys? Most likely.
Bixby's probably going to pitch. Feaster's probably not going to pitch now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like the hope was that they would just jump out to a big lead. And then it became apparent late that, okay, we're just going to have to burn Feaster.
I mean,
we
you could hope that, but they know UTSA was a really good squad going into that game.
Right. But it seemed to me they took the mindset of the games that really matter is BYU. So hopefully we beat UTSA with this strategy, but we're not prioritizing UTSA as like a very important game to win.
Okay, who would you rather have ready for the weekend, Baumler or Fieser?
They're both good.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yes, but you have to pick one. That's that's not the game in saying
Either one.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Baumler start. So I would say Baumler.
Yeah, because he only pitched 1 inning. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him start. I mean, he's probably going to pitch quite a bit on Thursday. But what's confusing to me is, okay, we did this, right? And we did this because BYU won't play on Sundays. It's a Thursday. It was a Thursday through Saturday thing, and now we're going to have a doubleheader on Thursday. Are we going to do the same thing when we play DBU on Tuesday and then we have to go to Orlando for a Thursday series?
It's a good question.
I mean,
good
probably.
question. I also think, too, to contradict my original point, is that they're not bringing anybody in they don't trust. They trust Bixby. They trust Caden Smith, Lucas Shin.
Cohen.
I mean, Zach James.
Yeah.
Cohen Fieser. Like, I mean, we just showed the graph. Everybody has a green bar. So I think they just kind of leveraged their pitching depth luxury while also prioritizing BYU. Is that a better way to put it? It's not that they didn't care about beating UTSA. It was, we are going to lean on the guys we trust and also be fully prepared going into BYU.
I mean, yeah, they trust these guys, right? But how many times do you see Gianluca pitch, maybe once a weekend? You really don't see a lot of these guys pitch on the weekend.
Let's see. Luca pitched. Hasn't he pitched in every conference weekend?
Yeah, I mean, he may be the outlier and all that.
Now, there's been some garbage time. There's been really what? 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 garbage time conference games.
Bixby's only pitched in 2 conference games.
Yeah. No, Bixby for sure. Which, to go on a take a little detour here, that's a guy I want to see more of. I wouldn't mind if him and Cormier both. I want to see pitch more. Anyway.
It worked. Whatever we say, it did work. They got the win.
All right. Do we want to go into BYU?
Yeah, let me just talk about the TCU's 8-0 in midweek games.
Yeah, good point.
It's pretty huge considering they've been unable to capitalize on some weekend series this season, like as far as building momentum. They had close losses to Arkansas, Texas Tech, and Houston that would have this team sitting pretty right now. But I guess it's pretty big when you're unable to convert on those, that you're winning these big midweek games. TCU is now 26th in RPI, which is their highest RPI ranking since week 8 of last season.
Week 8, huh?
Is that where we're about right now?
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's
I guess it just doesn't feel like it's been 2 months.
Yeah, we're probably like week 7 right now.
Yeah, that's about halfway through April. 8 weeks, and boy, they were on a slide. But they were probably like top 10 going into April.
Last year, I think they were 23rd.
Okay.
But so like a couple of weeks before that, they were like 5th.
Yeah.
And then before we move on to BYU, I went to the game last night after work. I I caught like the last 2 pitches of the game.
Did they just let you walk in?
Fuck no. That's what this story's about.
Oh man.
So yeah, I got off. I was still watching the game, and then I was like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna go to the game. And so I drove to the game, and as I'm getting out of my car was when Carson hit the double, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hear everybody going crazy, and I'm like, oh shit, starting to walk faster. And so I get to the gate, and I was just gonna walk in, and this lady's like, do you have your ticket? And I was like, no. I was like, y'all are still checking tickets? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, it's the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm still here.
Policy.
I guess. And then, yeah, so I called Jacob to send me a screenshot of his ticket real quick. And then I showed up. They didn't even scan it. They just looked at it. I walked in.
Oh man, why are we gonna make such
all
a
that
big
grief,
fuss?
and then they slack off?
I know.
Yeah.
And so I get to my seat, and like I think it was like ball 2. I didn't even know what the count was. All I knew was that Kramer was at the plate. And then like the next pitch, I see it go to the outfield. I was like, oh shit, there's a runner on third. And then I'm like, oh shit, there's one out. And then I'm like, oh shit, we won the game.
Next thing you know, he's singing the alma mater.
Yeah. And then I was
Shirtless.
like, oh,
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
join
Fired the
Kramer with no shirt?
of course. I didn't even go to the game with a shirt on. That's why they didn't let me in.
Hey, the chat is giving evaluations of your story. David says your story is stupid.
No,
It
he's
is.
just saying that it's stupid that they were. I'm going
I
to stick up for my boy Martin here. I will not stand for Martin's slander.
I like my interpretation better.
No,
But the
you're fake
reason
news.
why I decided to go to the game was I've only been to 1 loss this year. They're like 11-1 now. And so
Humble brag.
humble brag. The reason why I decided that it was important for me to go to the game last night is because of how bad TCU is in April.
Oh, so this whole story is just a
Oh.
lead in
Yeah.
to content. Okay.
Yes. All right. Everybody knows. Well, I guess everybody doesn't know that they're specifically bad in April, but the April slide from last year is probably what kept them out of the NCAA tournament, right? I mean, they were a bubble team. Obviously, they're
1000%.
probably not a bubble team, if they don't get swept at UTSA, if they don't lose a midweek game at UTA, if they don't lose a midweek game to Abilene Christian and then a series at Texas. You just win a couple of those games and you're probably safely in, right?
Yes.
2023, we started it by losing a series at Tech. Then they'd lose a series at home to UNC Wilmington. Then they'd lose a midweek game to Lamar. And then they got swept by West Virginia in Morgantown.
Oh man, yeah. Vibes were an all-time low.
Kind of like last year.
Morgantown.
Yeah. And they also lost a series to Texas in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And that April probably kept TCU from having a chance to win the Big 12. It was like a 3-way tie that year, and we were like 2 games behind. Probably kept TCU from hosting a regional that year. It worked out. We won the Fayetteville regional. But
Still hosted a super
Yeah, but
regional though.
we had to spend more money to watch it because of that April slide.
yeah. And then in 2022, TCU won the Big 12, but losing the home series to West Virginia, losing the midweek game to ACU and UTSA, losing a series at Texas, and then going to 0-2 against, they weren't bad, but they weren't very good DBU and FSU teams. But that resulted in TCU being the first team to win the Big 12 outright and not host a regional.
That sucked so bad.
God, that did.
So
didn't
I've
another Big
forgotten
12
about
team
that.
host?
Oklahoma State hosted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they had that dumb regional. That was the year they had that dumb regional with Arkansas, right? Where they were just like every game was like 30-20.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, yeah. Yeah, well,
So April's pretty
April's off
important
to a
this
good
year.
start now.
Yeah.
Okay, Martin. Well, let me ask, what do you think are the contributing factors of why April's such a hard month
I'll give you
for our
one.
froggies?
I'll give you one while Martin thinks it over. Is I think every year you mentioned we had Tech and Texas mixed in there. At least
A good Tech team.
And
a
West
good Tech,
Virginia,
yes.
I think. West Virginia was involved all 3 years as well, I think.
Yeah.
No, not last year. But
No, last year's the one that kind of drives me the craziest. But then again, it was what? At Stillwater, at Texas.
Was there a Cincinnati mixed in there?
Yeah, no, that one hurt.
yeah,
but
the biggest ones are like getting swept in Morgantown and getting swept in Cincinnati.
Man, you say last year, but that's just because we know how both 23 and 24 ended, right? Like right now. So you're looking back. Dude, in the moment, 23 absolutely takes the cake. I don't remember feeling more down.
Yeah.
Because we'd just gotten swept in Morgantown, and it was bad. That last game, I think last game we got run ruled, right?
Mhm.
And that's coming off the weekend before, a weekend series at home, lost to UNC Wilmington.
Mhm. And we lost to Lamar, who was bad at the time. That was a bad Lamar team. We lost the midweek game to Lamar.
So go back to Ray's question. All right, let's just say those midweek games where we were the superior team, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Midweek, whatever. People like to say midweeks don't matter. They do.
They do.
If you win a lot of them or if you lose a lot of them.
Unless you're Florida.
Like losing one here or there when you're already like a top 20 RPI team, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Or losing to like a good midweek team, but like when you're playing a 300 RPI team at home, like you really need to win that one.
Like Arkansas losing to Missouri State last week, that doesn't matter.
Right.
No.
But it mattered for us. So I don't know, man. It's you could look at pitching depth, number one.
I will say the pitching depth on those three teams is nowhere near this team's.
Right.
Even the team, that went to Omaha, we maybe had like 2.5 starters, and we were kind of like piecing together that third game. So it makes sense why we were losing midweek games.
Right.
I have no way to quantify this, but like in Major League Baseball, they say the dog days of summer, that August is just a brutal month, right? Because it's right before postseason play and all that.
Right.
You kind of think of like that's how April is. April's like the August.
Mental fatigue factor.
Could be.
Especially because you get into May, because then you see the finish line in May, right? And your goals are right there.
Yeah.
But like April, you're just going through the motion. You're well into the season. You still got to pretend to like classes.
All right. So this is 3 years in, right? Do you think we're looking at a trend, or do you think it's a coincidence? Because I think all 3 years we were pretty bad in April, and then we were pretty good in May, right?
Man, this is a little brain teaser. Yeah, it's got to be a trend, but I'm trying to explain it. So if you have lack of pitching, that's a pretty solid, concrete reason why. But I do think
depth's not there.
But then why would you be good in May?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what they used in 23.
I started hitting the shit out of the ball.
Yeah. I don't know if they got the good B12 vitamin shots that year. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think it's a mental fatigue factor.
Could be.
So
But I think if you have a lot of freshmen who are still like, holy shit, I'm in college baseball, they're gonna fatigue a little slower mentally. And then you have depth. You should be able to weather it.
Do you think freshmen, maybe mentality wise, they fatigue a little slower, but do you think the
Physically?
fatigue physically?
Yeah,
Right?
but
I mean, because they're
think
used to playing this much baseball. They play year round on all their travel
right,
teams.
but
But it's not like this.
Who's getting stressed? It's like Noah Franco.
Yeah. I mean, just being asked to be a fielder, a
Yeah.
pitcher, and you have to go hit.
Nolan Traeger, maybe. But none of the pitchers are stressed.
I mean, not even really Nolan Traeger, because you have.
I know. I'm just trying to look for anybody. Like who's like having to carry the burden of everyday playing time? That's a freshman.
Stroh-Snyder,
but now he's had 2 games off.
Yeah,
And he's the best hitter on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to fatigue mentally if you're the best. If you're like, hell yeah, I get to go hit another home run. Dude,
and I think the fatigue physically is lessened on a hitter than of course being a pitcher, right?
It can be, but yeah, if you're thinking just physically, yeah, I keep going back to mentals, but yeah, just physically, yeah. But none of the pitchers are stressed. I mean, Braden Sloan is going to be all Big 12, and I mean, he's not throwing enough innings, quite frankly.
So that you guys bring up 2 good reasons why I see April going well for TCU this year. Is one, the pitching depth. Yes, it's spread out so much. Like you said, there's not enough innings for a lot of guys on this team.
Right.
And then as well as the offense, like that 2023 team, we had guys like Elijah Nunez, Braden Taylor, Austin Davis, Curtis Byrne,
Dirty Curdy.
Yeah. But that's like a bunch of guys that were all playing every day. And we don't really have that this year. We have like maybe 11, 12 guys deep on the position player side.
Yeah.
We don't have a catcher catching every single game. We have like 4 really good catchers.
Yeah, hold that point, because David says he's joking here. Upperclassmen with the, oh no, here we go again. But then I'm thinking, who? Like Carson's not playing every day.
Silva
is one. Kramer, Cadena,
Brunson.
But I mean, do you call sophomores upperclassmen?
No.
And Cadena's a sophomore, right?
I mean, well, they're basically juniors at this point.
Kramer was doing something else in Washington State. I don't know.
Yeah, Kramer's hyped to be on a winning team.
Yeah, these Aprils that I just listed off are probably Washington State's whole season.
Yeah. Winning cures a lot of fatigue, physically and mentally. More mentally, but anyway. Good topic there, Martine. Let's hope the slide doesn't start this weekend, because a surprising BYU team coming to town. I was looking at I spent about an hour and a half or so digging into BYU, and I'm not really sure where I land with this team. I was a lot more certain on what I thought about Houston than I am with BYU.
I think your WAR stat does not take into consideration altitude.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's purely numbers, right?
Yeah.
Hit ball far, numbers go up.
And pretty much if you're playing in a corner at BYU, you're hitting.
Oh, I didn't even look at their home road splits.
Well, while we do that,
they're fucking 10-5 on the road.
Where are they playing?
Cincinnati was 1.
Utah Valley.
At Fresno, they went 2-2. Cal State Northridge 2-1. At UCLA, big fat L. At Gonzaga, they swept them. They won a series at Cincinnati. All close games. That's
Those
it.
are all
Well,
pretty much hitters parks except for I think UCLA, but I do think this team
and hitters opponents.
I do believe this team is a legitimate offensive threat, but their pitching sucks.
Right. Okay. Let's go there because we can break this down from a numbers perspective.
Give me my
I want
numbers.
to do like a segment where I kind of explain these numbers more in depth and kind of what we're looking at. But just in layman's terms, the higher you are on this chart, the better. So you have
BYU is very high.
So if you're watching on you have your peak. I'm sorry, this is defense. Let me start with offense. So you have your top hitter, your bottom hitter, everybody in between, and then these gray boxes kind of show you the normal, where the normal hitters are, like the upper normal, the lower normal. And then everyone outside or below, above the box or below the box is your outliers, right? Like the guys who either carry you or are really struggling, right? So starting here on offense, pretty equal offensive teams for the most part. Both teams have about 3 guys that they count on for, a higher share of the production. And then there's the middle, and then a couple guys who, are probably more defensive first players. So, Martin, do you want to talk about anybody in particular on their offense?
Yeah, they're led by Bryker Herdsman.
Such a Mormon name.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's a junior outfielder. He's hitting .429 with a .505 on base and a .679 slugging. Originally, he was at Utah Tech. Then he transferred to BYU. He's in his second season with the Cougars. And he has looked into his hat and had a revelation and learned how to hit the ball this year.
Yeah,
he ranks 6th in the Big 12 in OPS. But yeah, like Cooper Vest, their first baseman, Keone Painter, another outfielder, Luke Anderson, another outfielder.
Yep.
These are like corner outfield guys. They're all hitting. And so basically that's why I said if you're hitting in a corner, you're probably producing for this BYU team.
So TCU, just looking at it from a matchup perspective, TCU has the best hitter, Sawyer Strauss-Snyder, who, if you don't know, he'll be back tomorrow, most likely. Like, where are we at confidence-wise he's back tomorrow?
If he's not back tomorrow, smashing the panic button.
Yeah. But I think all signs indicate from Kurt that it was 2 days off precautionary.
Yeah. And
kind of like Chase Brunson the week before. So Sawyer's the best hitter in this series. But you said Riker Herdsman. He's not far behind. Very dangerous hitter. And then for TCU, we have Chase Brunson. Noah Franco. Those are, Strauss-Snyder, Brunson, Franco. Those are our top 3 hitters according to P-WAR, which in simple terms, it just measures your offensive output. And then they have Riker, like we talked about. They have Cooper Vest and Luke Anderson. So those are the 3 guys for BYU. Then the middle production is about equal, as well as the guys at the bottom. So offensively, they match up, pretty similarly. So what you see from TCU's offense is about what you can expect from BYU's offense.
And looking at this graph, I think it bodes well for TCU because the offensive, where they play, TCU is a pitcher's park. It's kind of hard to hit home runs. BYU, altitude, offense is – I mean, did you watch the West Virginia series in Provo?
No. It
was like 20-16 one game.
Yeah. I did see the scores.
Yeah, so I mean, offense is pretty easy to come by in Provo. So the fact that they're pretty evenly matched, I think, bodes well for TCU.
Let me real quick show the defensive comparison. Overall, much more even than the Houston series. Houston's a ridiculous defensive team. We don't have the same advantage against Houston or against BYU as we did against Houston. But I'll tell you where we do have an advantage, and that's in the outfield. Over here at BYU, you see these 3 bottom dots that are lower than anybody on TCU? That's their entire outfield. Center field, left field, right field. They're not a good defensive team in the outfield. However, they're elite in the infield. These top 4 dots, that's their whole infield.
Yeah, I got to see a little bit of Ryder Robinson at shortstop, and he's pretty good. He's pretty slick over there.
Yep, he's one of those 4 dots. I think he's 3rd on the list. Their second baseman, Brock Watkins, phenomenal defender. So he's got a DRS of 7.62. And to compare that, Anthony Silva is at a 9.23. So Silva's the best defender in the series. But that second baseman for BYU, Watkins, he's salty too.
Another thing,
I don't know what that means. I mean, we're talking about like if you hit a ball in the gap, we're more likely to run it down and make an out, whereas BYU is going to let it go to the wall for a double, right?
Yeah.
Would y'all like the stolen base numbers inserted here?
Yes.
So BYU on the year, stealing bases, they're 21 for 32. Opponents are 22 for 32. So they're pretty good at, I'd say I mean, better than what we've seen lately.
Yeah.
At nailing runners.
Yeah. I don't want to get sucked back into the base running discussion, but I would say any team with a pulse at throwing guys out, we should be very cautious about. Houston and Tech, I wanted to run on them.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely say BYU has a pulse. I would say they have more than a pulse. I think we should avoid trying to run on them. After like a month of facing like the worst catchers in the Big 12, I hope, we kind of – because we weren't that successful.
No, we weren't. And really,
try
dude,
to whisper that.
I think against especially Tech, we missed a lot of opportunities where I'm like, why the hell are we not running here? Anyway, all right. Thanks, Ray, for that. So let me tell you guys where I believe we're definitely going to. Okay, let me be careful how I say this. I strongly believe we're going to win the series. Okay. A big reason why I think we'll sweep is when we go to pitching.
Mm-hmm.
They struggle at throwing the ball from the rubber to home plate.
Here's the problem with the sweep thing.
Yeah.
Their best pitcher is their Thursday starter.
Yes. And that's where that's why I said I need to be careful.
Yeah.
About being if we win, I'll tell you this, if we win game 1.
Yeah.
Starting Klecker and probably having a bullpen game.
Yeah.
We're sweeping.
I have more on this after I talk about their Thursday starter.
All right.
So what I found interesting about BYU was yes, okay, so we're in week 8 because they have used the same 3 guys as their weekend rotation all year, I believe. Peyton Goobler. Peyton Goobler, right-handed pitcher, redshirt sophomore. He's 3-1. He's got a 3.69 ERA. That ranks 9th among Big 12 pitchers who qualify for the ERA title. Goobler also ranks 3rd in the conference in innings pitched. He's 6th in opponents' batting average. Surprisingly, he only has 28 strikeouts in 39 innings. You wouldn't really expect a pitcher who's like pitch to contact to have this much success pitching in a place like Provo.
Unless you have an elite defense on the infield.
So he must be like a ground ball guy then.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the exact same pitcher last Friday.
Now, however, you can score on him. He's not some like elite shutdown, game 1 guy.
On Goober?
Yeah. You can score on him.
I mean, either one is Houston's guy wasn't like elite either.
No. I tried to make this point clear. It wasn't their starter I was worried about. It was does
Yeah.
Houston have a lead with Antoine Jean coming in? That's the guy I was afraid of.
Yeah, he's got the lowest. Jean has the lowest opponent's batting average in the conference.
Exactly. And he's had a couple games too where he's kind of blown up. But
Yeah.
the game before TCU, that was the one Ray pointed out on the recap where he had like 11 strikeouts in 5 innings.
Yeah. He's also left-handed.
He's also left-handed. So matchup wise, Gubler's their best pitcher, but Tommy Lepore and Braden Sloan,
Tommy Sloan.
they are much better pitchers than he is. So it's not like, damn, we got a guy that's like up there with golly, did it again. Up there with Braden Sloan, like Antoine Jean, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Houston's game 1 pitching is better than BYU's.
Yeah, that's what. So what confuses me about why we're throwing Klecker first. Okay, so during the game against UTSA, Chuck mentioned that Kirk did not want to move Cademan from Saturday. Okay, I get it. That makes sense. He's coming back from an injury. I don't understand why, even if there was no doubleheader on Thursday, he was going to pitch Tommy Lepore on Friday.
I don't get that either because he started the season at Saturday. So it's not like he's not used to it. And he's not injured.
Right.
One extra day moved up is not going to affect him that much. It shouldn't. And he has to pitch tomorrow anyway.
Right. So why wouldn't he pitch game 1? I don't understand that.
I would love to ask him that. Because once you get past their game 1 guys, man, the bottom drops off. So if you want to throw Klecker in the bullpen in game 2 against whoever the hell they're going to run out, that's fine. Yeah. But why throw a bullpen game against their top arms?
The only reason I could come up with is he's planning on using Sloan game 1 a lot.
So start him. Just start him.
Yeah.
Maybe Kirk's doing the opener.
Like, look, okay. I don't want to just assume Klecker is not going to give us anything, but he really hasn't this year. He really didn't last year. So you want to bring Sloan in when it's 4-2 in the 4th?
I mean, TCU probably will be up 4-2 in the 4th.
No.
You're right.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't know. I was confused about it yesterday watching the game, and I'm even more confused about it today. So
yeah, dude, it's because I'm trying. We try to like figure things out, right? Baumler goes 1 inning, they pull him. Okay, maybe they're starting him against BYU. Nope. So I don't know what's going on.
Me neither.
Would y'all like? Maybe I can shoehorn this in now with BYU's scheduling so far this year.
Okay, what you got?
That they've played 3 doubleheaders so far.
Okay.
They have split 2 of them and swept 1. They split Fresno, swept Stetson, and split Cincinnati. They have not gotten swept so far in a doubleheader.
Are all of these doubleheaders early or in the middle or late?
Early on the Cincinnati, that was a Friday for sure. Let me I know Fresno was a Saturday doubleheader, so that was the end that they split. And I don't remember what Stetson was off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, typically doubleheaders don't set up well to win both.
Yeah.
But I think we have a good enough matchup advantage where we can now. We really need to sweep this one because you dropped 2 games against 2 of the bottom teams in the conference. So if you're planning on winning the regular season Big 12, Dude, there were like 4 sweeps last weekend in the Big 12.
Including the first place team. Yeah.
Including the first place team. So they're finding a way to sweep. We need to do the same unless you're okay just finishing like third in the conference and being a 2 seed. And
yeah, another thing about Kansas State is they don't play TCU, Arizona State, or Arizona this year.
Yeah. Now, I don't think Kansas State's so invincible that they're going to run away with it, but we got to stop dropping games.
Yeah, so 3 weeks ago, we were talking about the Tech series. We were looking at the schedule and said this 3-week stretch was where you can make your hay. That, ideally you really wanted to go 9-0 in that. But
of course
I agree. You really need it. You need a sweep this weekend. You really need a sweep. And then you're 7-2 coming out of that stretch in conference. That's pretty good.
All right. So here are the standings. We are 3 games back of K-State. K-State's sitting at 8-1.
Dude, fucking Oklahoma State, man. What the heck?
Yeah, and BYU hasn't been swept yet. They haven't won a conference series. I think they are 2-1 on game 1, 2-1 in game 2, and then 0-3 in game 3.
So Sharpie Saturday.
Yeah.
And
you got to think so. And then it comes down to Cole Klecker in the bullpen, game 1. Because you feel good about our offense against their game 2 pitching, and you feel good about Tommy Lepore holding down their lineup enough in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
You think you can get 3 from Klecker, 5 from Sloan, and let's say 1 from Udy?
When Sloan comes in, he doesn't leave the game.
Yeah.
Get 6 from Sloan.
Why not? He's done it, and we're not overusing him.
Yeah. And he would have extra rest because he pitched on it there. So he gets 1 more day of rest.
All right, real quick, let's just look at, because we didn't do it last week. I know we're kind of going over time, but we're not forcing anybody to keep listening. Let's go to the series. Give me a second to filter. Right now, there's 4 Big 12 games going on. Kansas State all over Wichita State, West Virginia all over Pittsburgh, Kansas beating South Dakota State, and Houston taking care of Corpus Christi. So, yeah, that'll help our RPI. We actually fell to, I think, 28th.
Check UTRGV. That's the only other game that affects our RPI today.
What are they in? Southland?
Southland.
Yeah, they're all over Rice.
Nice.
Okay. All right, but let's see. Let me go to Friday.
Before you do this, let me finish up on BYU.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
TCU is 17-1 in their last 18 versus BYU and 30-6 all time. BYU is also the 7th opponent this season who was in another conference with TCU besides the Big 12. Arkansas, Southwest Conference, Southern Miss, Conference USA, Air Force, WAC and Mountain West, Fresno State, WAC, Texas Tech, Southwest Conference, Houston, Southwest Conference, and CUSA, BYU, WAC, and Mountain West Conference.
Sorry, Martin. I'm not going to lie. I was thinking. I wasn't listening.
It's all right. I was just trying
to do the show for the listener, not for me.
Yeah.
I was just trying to vamp while you got to whatever screen you needed to get to.
No, I'm there. I just wanted to pull up the standings too.
Jacob,
all right. So
let
me start.
Tabs right now, and I'm seeing some surly tabs.
No, you're not.
What is X-Ham?
Ray, this is my work computer, so your joke's not going to land.
He's doing it for the listener, not the
And
watcher.
I
Yeah,
do.
well.
I do the show. I do the show for the
I'm not
listener.
here for fun. I'm here for baseball. All right, let's just go through these in order. So we got Utah and West Virginia. West Virginia sitting at 4-3. I think they handle Utah at home. If they sweep, that
Agree.
moves them to 7-3.
Oof.
Would love to see Utah steal a game there.
Man,
That'd be
need
very
you,
helpful.
Yeah, would like Utah to get one. That should
Same
be
story.
Utah's goal.
Same story in Orlando. It's Kansas sitting at 6-3. UCF, huge disappointment. I thought they were going to be competitive in the Big 12. They're at 3-6. They got some talent on that team. They are not winning Big 12 games.
They weren't winning Big 12 games last year, but I mean, they're still they're pretty much the same team as last year. They win the midweek games and they lose the conference games.
It makes no sense because they have some players.
Yeah. They're mostly good on the midweeks.
So if UCF can win that series, that's huge.
But go back to Utah, West Virginia. I think Utah has one of the best pitchers in the conference. Yeah, so they might be able to steal one.
Here, real quick, since you mentioned it. So they have this starter here. Oh, he's right here. Coulter McKinley. He's one of the best pitchers in the conference. So hopefully he can steal a game. That'd be great. He's great. He's a great pitcher. But look at the rest of Utah.
Stinky.
Oof.
Yeah, very.
Poopy.
Kansas, man, this guy is like, what's the name? Brady Ballinger. He's like third in the country in WAR.
Yeah, he's fucking insane right now.
Yeah, he's your Big 12 player of the year right now.
It's crazy, dude. He was like a JUCO guy last year.
But there's some teams, if you just look at this white dot, that's kind of the mean. There's some teams separating themselves. But look at UCF. They're like the leaders in the conference. Look at these guys that they have above their average. 7 guys, man, that are just really playing well, and they're not winning games. It's so weird.
Is there a way to filter that, like weekend? I guess Big 12 play.
Oklahoma State sucks. Like their performance reflects their record.
Yeah.
Dude, are they injured? What's going on up in Stillwater?
No, they suck.
They just suck,
dude. Period.
Yeah, Nolan Schubert isn't even like Nolan Schubert would be the 6th highest WAR on TCU right now.
God.
Is he the one who like exploded a testicle like a year ago or 2 years ago?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna say yes because that's funny.
All right, let's just go back to this. Let's finish this out. So, Cincinnati and Tech, don't care a lot about that series. I don't think Cincinnati's any good.
I don't think Tech's any good either.
Well, yeah, they're both 4-5. I think they will not finish around 500 when it's all said and done.
I would like Tech to win that series, just maybe demoralize Cincinnati.
Because we play them.
Yeah, at home, so maybe they don't care.
Houston and Baylor. Baylor's kind of being annoying too.
I guess they did take They did take 2 of 3 last weekend against Arizona. That was pretty big.
Yeah, I know. That's annoying though. Like that they're hanging around.
Houston has
it's good. It's good for us.
Thing.
What'd you say?
Houston has a chance to do the funniest thing.
What, sweet Baylor?
Yeah.
Dude, Oklahoma State has the opportunity to do the funniest thing.
That'd be funnier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kansas State goes to Stillwater. I'm really glad this is in Stillwater.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Oklahoma State has the guys. Like any weekend, they could come out. They can win this series. Kansas State's not invincible.
Dude. So I was just thinking about weather and the impacts that weather is going to play on the Big 12. I think it's supposed to snow up in the Panhandle this weekend.
So the Tech series is going to get snowed out. Advantage
I don't-
Cincinnati.
I don't know if it'll get snowed out, but I thought I heard when I was trusting Pete tonight when he was telling me it's only going to rain Friday morning. That you said there was a chance for snow up in the Panhandle. It means it's probably going to be cold in Stillwater too on Saturday.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Sunday.
that'd be real awesome if Oklahoma State can wake the hell up and win a series. At least win
Yeah.
a game. If Kansas State sweeps, man,
Oh my! They might as well. You might as well put an X
that's
next to their
trouble.
name.
Especially since we don't play them.
Yeah.
Now, Arizona's sitting at 6-3 after losing a series to Baylor. They go to Phoenix to play their in-state rival,
Dude.
Arizona State.
That's a big series.
It is. I'm not sure where I'll land on this. I think Arizona's the better team, but now Arizona State has the better record, and we've already played Arizona State. So we don't want to sweep either way, right?
Right.
Unless
I think
we just
I
want
want
to bury
Arizona
one of these teams.
taking 2 of 3 in that one. Because we still play Arizona. So we can get those games back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree, especially since Arizona State has a game up on them. That would even the records.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there is a sweep, you would want Arizona to sweep.
Right. Yeah, the big one I'm going to be watching, though, is please Oklahoma
TCU,
State wake
BYU?
up. Well, of course, but anyway. All right, that's a look around the Big 12. All right, guys, I think we're out of time. Do you have any final thoughts?
Final thought, and this is just a national thought. Love our boy Jack. But today, did you see the video he put out today?
No.
He does like a hat selection of where he's going to be for the weekend. And if you had to guess one series he was going to be at, just one team in general, it was like the most obvious selection ever.
I think he said he was doing A&M Tennessee, right?
Yeah. Of course he's going to be at Tennessee. Big Tennessee guy.
Yeah. All right, Martin, anything else?
No.
All right,
Go sweep.
Shout out to Long Drink. Shout out to Chinook. That's a mouthful. And shout out to Anduno. Please go check out our partners. All right, 2 games tomorrow at Lupton. We'll see you guys out there. Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.
Did you hear what